Hello, how are you guys? I'm back with another webinar, another another helping of English. It's like 11s. So in the UK, there's a joke. You can have your breakfast, and then you can have something at 11 o'clock. And the joke is 11s, because you have whatever you want to have at 11. So this is your 11 o'clock helping of English. Enjoy. um, so today we are doing a focus activity called On Second Thought. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Well, you know when someone says something to you or you see something, the first thought that comes to your mind is typically something silly if you're like me, or it's something that's like, oh, hang on a minute. You have your initial impression, and then you think, wait, or hang on a minute, hang on a minute, or wait. And then you say on second thought. So you've got your first thought, then you've got your second thought. So your second thought is usually a lot more sensible than your first thought in my case. Again, in my case. So how many of you, when you see something, you have an initial silly thought, and then secondly, you have something a bit more reasonable? Okay. Right, today we're doing this focus activity on second thought. Let me have a look at what we're going to be doing. So in this focus activity, we're going to be looking at thinking vocabulary, phrasal verbs associated with thinking, and idioms with mind, brain. Okay, let's go. So, don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. Do you know the song? Don't worry, be happy. Right. Tell me if any of you are watching, who you are in the comment section. If you want to remain anonymous, that's okay, but I would love to know who's watching. So say hello in the comment section, and we can start to have a lesson together online. Okay, the more you talk to me, the more you will get out of the lesson. Okay, so who have we got watching? Make yourselves known. Okay, and if you have any general questions for me about English, go ahead. Right, so we've got this text here. Don't worry, be happy. So, oh, hey, Alice. Oh, lovely. Hi, Alice. I can't remember. Have I spoken to you before? I think I have. I think I have spoken to you before. But good morning. It's lovely to hear from you. Venice is beautiful. Venice is absolutely beautiful. That is the first place I went to. That was actually the first place I visited when I came to Italy. The first time I visited Italy, I went to Venice, and then I travelled up to visit my friend in Udine. And I spent a week, the best part of a week, in Friuli, Venezia Giulia. But yeah, Venice was fantastic. But I think it would be incredibly expensive to live in Venice. I wonder how Venice is at the moment. I think my mum said to me that actually in Venice you can now see the fish in the canal. You can see all the fish because the waters have stopped moving. It's not as chaotic as it normally is. And of course, the wildlife is coming back out. In fact, there was a beautiful article in the Times yesterday. Hey, Vincenzo. Nice to see you. Nice to see you and to hear from you. Bologna. That's another place I need to go to. I've never been to Bologna, but I would like to go to Bologna. Um, what I was going to say was there there was an article in the Times yesterday, and it was about how in Rome the local wildlife have come back out to march around near the Colosseum, and Circo Massimo as well. Lots of little hedgehogs, and it's a really beautiful article. It describes how the director who looks after the Colosseum, Circo Massimo, the historical sites, how she is still working, and how they have still been employing like a gardener, maybe 2 gardeners, to look after the general upkeep of the historical sites, because of course, like when the grass grows, there are good plants, but there are also like weeds. In English we say weeds, like sort of horrible plants. So they've got to care for the land, and they've noticed that lots of birds and hedgehogs and other wildlife have started to reappear. Yeah, I know what you mean. Alice is just saying in the comment section that it's people's perception of how expensive Venice is. Certainly, from my experience, I found Venice expensive. But equally, if you go to eat in a restaurant near anywhere in the vicinity of St. Mark's Square, it's going to be expensive, and you will be offered a bottle of wine that costs 40 euros as opposed to 15. But it is a beautiful city, I must admit. Maybe one day I'll be able to go back. Okay, guys, let's have a look at this gap fill exercise. I want you to tell me what you think the answers are. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gaps. So I want you to read the passage yourselves and tell me what the words are for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I got all that. So tell me what you think the words are. Okay, and then I'll read it out to you. Okay. I'm going to give you maybe 2 minutes to do this, guys. Don't worry, be happy. The practice of positive thinking is gaining popularity around the world. Positive thinking is an attitude that is based on that if you on things you want in life using positive thoughts, then you will receive those things more easily. For example, if you desire to be rich, you must on the money that you already have and visualize more money coming into your. Or if you want to find love, you must change that love is hard to find and use the attitude that love is everywhere. Therefore, your belief is that the more you use to think about your life, the more positive situations and outcomes you will attract. Okay, sounds fantastic. Yes, well done. Well done, Vincenzo. Right, what's the next one? So we've done 1. Now we're looking for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Good, Alice. Hi, Bruno. Good morning. Well done, Alice. You must focus on the money that you already have and visualize more money coming to you with your... I love reading passages and just putting instead of the actual word. It's very funny. Good morning from Milan, Bruno. I hope you're doing well under the circumstances. Good morning. Yes, with your imagination. Good, Alice. So we've got 2 left. What do you think? Well done. Okay, so the next one is perspective, and then the last one, by default, is optimism. So the practice of positive thinking is gaining popularity around the world. Positive thinking is a mental attitude that based on the notion that is based on the notion that if you concentrate on the things you want in life using positive thoughts, then you'll receive those things more easily. For example, if you desire to be rich, you must focus on the money that you already have and visualize more money coming to you with your imagination. Or if you want to find love, you must change your perspective that love is hard to find and use an attitude that love is everywhere. Therefore, the belief is that the more you use optimism to think about your life, the more positive situations and outcomes you will attract. Okay, so guys, do you believe in this? Do you think this is a credible passage? That is what is written here. Do you agree with it? Sorry, 1 minute, guys. It was just water break. Oh my goodness. You wouldn't believe the amount of wear and tear a teacher's voice gets. My goodness. It's like it's not as bad as it usually is, in fairness. When I'm at work at the school, it's normally like by lunchtime, but it's been a lot better during the quarantine because obviously I don't have to shout. I can talk at my normal level. Okay, change reality, but yeah. Okay, so you guys seem to think it can help to be positive, but it's not enough. Okay, so do you think so? Let's say, for example, I think I'm really, really lucky because I've got a job. I truly believe that. Okay, I know that I'm really lucky because I've got a job and I'm able to work right now. Okay, I thank my lucky stars that I can work during this difficult period. But let's say you can't appreciate having hands and feet. Do you think, or the ability to breathe, or the ability to see, like on that level, do you think people need to appreciate life on a very, very simplistic level, to the point where you're actually just grateful that you can see? Do you think that's maybe what people, up until the point where we've had the quarantine, up until that point, people were in general were not very good at doing? Because from my point of view, I would say that a lot of people had become so selfish that they were wanting things that were beyond them. Okay, so that there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having goals, but they couldn't appreciate the ability to see. Like, for example, they would forget things like, oh, isn't it wonderful that I can wake up in the morning and I can go to the toilet by myself? Isn't it wonderful that I can open my eyes and I can see without glasses, or I can, like basic things. Isn't it wonderful that I live in a house rather than on the street? I think with positivity, I think you can feel happier, but maybe you actually need to express gratitude, which is a different thing altogether. Attitude. Do you think that's a fair comment? Gratitude. Tell me, what do you think? How often do you guys express gratitude? That's meant to be a question, guys. Sorry, I missed the question mark. But how often do you express gratitude? Tell me in the comments section. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Alice. People are complaining about stuff. It's like, oh, I don't have the latest mobile, or no, I haven't been able to get to the hairdresser to do my roots, to recolor my hair. Oh no, I don't have anything to wear. Oh, like these are really banal things. Whereas it's only really when you are put into a situation where you no longer can do basic things that you start to, and your perspective on life and reality just completely changes. It's incredible. Like, for example, I'm going to tell you this. There's near the school where I work in Rome, there is a homeless man. There are several homeless people nearby. This isn't the only guy, but he looks terrible. He looks awful. He looks like he's in a really bad mental state, and he lives on the street, and from the looks of things, he doesn't have anywhere to go, not even like a place to stay. And he has to do the toilet in the street in front of other people. There have been 2 times when I've been walking or running to work, and I've seen him doing the toilet in the street. And although that's fairly disgusting, this guy is a human being, and it's difficult because I think the police might not be able to do much to help this guy. Well, they might be. They might be able to do something. I just don't know. But it's like, he is not the only person in that situation. But it's amazing the number of people. Like for for example, this morning I went to buy bread and like biscuits, something to eat for breakfast, and I bought a Columba. And while I was waiting to pay for the products that I wanted to buy, there was a lady outside asking me to give her money, and it was just an almost bizarre situation. But she was wearing a mask as well, and I just thought it's incredible. It's actually incredible how it's almost hallucinating how bad the situation can be sometimes. Yeah, well done, Alicia. So, Alicia was talking about negative vibrations. Yeah, negative energy. A lot of people just, in English, we call these people energy vampires. Let me write that, energy vampires. This is a phrase that has been created by probably journalists, to be honest, but energy vampires, a mixture of journalists and probably psychologists have probably said this, but energy vampires are people, if you can imagine a vampire, how they suck your blood, from Dracula films. People who are constantly negative, moaning, complaining, they drain your energy because they cannot handle their own life. Yeah, exactly. People complain about not being perfect when in fact they are more perfect than they think. Because the thing is that these same people, when they are like, I don't know, 55, look back at photos of themselves when they were in their 20s and think, oh, how beautiful I was. Look at that waist. Look at my hair. Now I'm old and grumpy. And you're like, well, you didn't appreciate yourself when you were 25, honestly. Uh, yeah, well done, Vincenzo. I think gratitude, I actually think gratitude is more important than positivity. I wonder if you guys agree with that. I think positive outlook is good, but it's actually being grateful for what you already have is the key. Because without gratitude, positivity is just meaningless words. Yeah, it's just like an inner monologue of, isn't life wonderful? I hate my life. Isn't life fabulous? I hate my life. You kind of got to be like, I love my life. I'm grateful for the life I have. And as soon as you have that, everything else, the positivity comes naturally with gratitude. Uh, yeah, well done, Bruno. Good. Okay, I like your opinions, guys. I wonder, do you agree with my idea about gratitude being more important than positivity? Let me know what you think. Okay, energy vampires. Do you know any energy vampires? Tell me. Do you know any energy vampires? Exactly. Yeah. Right, let's look at the questions on the screen as well. Okay, guys, because it's quite difficult to have a natural conversation online because I'm sitting in my bedroom talking on YouTube, but if you guys want to actually just put your own opinions into the comment section, go right ahead. I am just asking these questions to stimulate conversation. So you guys, it's your lesson. You do what you want to do in terms of progressing this discussion. Okay, right. Discuss the following questions together. So with a partner, it's kind of difficult. Okay. Do you think that Changing your perspective from negative to positive can have an effect on other people's lives. Why or why not? Number 2, in what ways would you have to change your mental attitude to get what you want in life? That is according to positive thinking. What would you focus or concentrate on? Number 3, is the notion of positive thinking dangerous in any way? Are there any consequences to people believing that optimism alone, can change their lives? This is a very, very tasty subject. Yeah, good, Vincenzo. You're quite right to avoid these kinds of people. Yeah, energy vampires are dreadful. I find energy vampires are people who constantly criticize you. They can think of nothing positive to say to you. Not only do they complain about their own life, but they actually criticize you. And sometimes they are people who don't even complain about their own life, but they just criticize you constantly. But then when they try to do something themselves, they make a mistake. And then they're like, and you're like, well, focus on what you need to be doing rather than trying to involve yourself in my business, you know? Oh dear. Yeah. I think it's common in an office at work to find energy vampires, or even in the family, but it can be difficult to keep a distance. It just depends how close you are as a family. But this kind of behavior is tough because unless you find a way to escape, it can bring a huge amount of stress with it. Okay. Okay. Alicia, you're fantastic. Okay, so you've got people who you work with who always complain about their lives, their work, the lack of time, the fact that their boyfriends don't wash the dishes or buy them gifts. My goodness. I'm gonna just be honest here. I'm single, and to be honest, if I'm grateful, what I want to say is I'm grateful that I'm happy I'm single, but even if I had a boyfriend, I would be grateful just to have a boyfriend. I wouldn't be ungrateful because they didn't buy me presents. In my head, the only time you really need to think about buying someone a present is when it's their birthday or when it's Christmas. You know, maybe that's just me. I know like some people think about these things differently, but it's like people need to stop being princesses about everything. I think the princess mentality doesn't get you anywhere, but that's just me. Okay, let's look at question number 1. Do you think that changing your perspective from negative to positive can have an effect on people's lives? Why or why not? So if you are constantly being negative and you just decide one day to wake up and think, I'm going to be positive from now on. I'm changing my life. I'm no longer going to be negative. What kind of impact does that have? Do you think that has an impact just on you, the individual who changes their perspective, or does it actually help other people? So if someone is a horrible, nasty person and they start being positive, does that have a positive influence on other people that they have to work with, live with? Yeah. Good. Well done, Vincenzo. Yeah, if you you can I think it's possible to change too. Yeah. Yeah. Frighteningly positive. Good. I mean, good, Alice. Yeah, I mean, I think I I have friends who have been in a similar situation where they've had an illness and they have overcome it. But I think the positivity was basically just like, it will be okay. It will be okay. It will be all right. That was probably about as far as as it went in terms of positivity. And I think they said, they just had to. In English, we say "get on with it." I'm going to write that, to get on with something, or for example, get on with it. Okay. I don't know if you guys know this. To get on with something, or get on with it. Okay, this is the instruction. Get on with it. Okay. If I say to get on with something, what I mean is they just accepted that the situation is what it was what it was. Okay. So it's like saying, "Oh my goodness, we're in quarantine. What will we do?" If someone continues to panic and be anxious, that doesn't bring positive results. That just clouds everything. It makes everything a mess. Okay. But if you adopt the attitude, I'm just going to get on with it, it's like accepting it, just dealing with the situation and just moving forward. Okay. Um, if if you're at work and the boss says get on with it, it means stop complaining and do the work. Stop complaining and do the work. Stop waiting for something to happen and actually do something about the situation. Okay. So get on with it is basically like, do like, it's like saying man up. Man up, stop messing around. Yeah, well done, Vincenzo. Believe in yourself. I think that is probably the single most important thing I've learned as an adult, is that if you don't believe in your own abilities, no one else will. And it's really cliche. People think, oh no, yeah, okay, whatever. But it's like, it's so true. It's like, if you walk around thinking I can't speak, like for example, um I live in Rome, and I walk around Rome, and some mornings I go out, I leave the house, and I think I can't really speak Italian this morning. I'm tired, and when I go into a shop and try to speak to someone, they pick up on the fact that I'm foreign, and it's like, I know that I've caused that situation to happen because I've thought, oh well, it's because I can't speak properly. Okay. But if I go around thinking I can speak, I've got a good command of the language. If I kind of just almost decide in my head that I am capable of doing things, strangely enough, people start to reflect that back to me. It's like, if I speak to someone properly in Italian, they treat me differently. It's very much a psychological thing. You have to set your mind up to get the result you want, because if you don't make that decision and you're not like kind of just assured about it, then it's not going to work. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever had a similar experience. If you have a doubt in your mind, you have to like really sort of say, no, 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 I'm going to do this. I've got this. I can overcome this obstacle. Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's look at question 2. Question number 2. Yeah, we'd live without hypocrites. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. I cannot deal with people who are contradictory, people who contradict themselves constantly. My goodness. Right, let's think about number 2. So, in what ways would you have to change your mental attitude to get what you want in life? What would you focus or concentrate on? Yeah, Alice, I think you're right for number 3. The problem with optimism or simply positivity is that sometimes if you don't do any work at all, nothing happens. I remember there was that famous um, video with Oprah Winfrey and Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey was explaining how he used the Secret, the book on the law of attraction, to become an actor, and how like he wasn't really aware of what it was he was doing, but in his mind he visualized being a famous actor. He visualized being paid a lot of money, okay, and he used to drive around Hollywood, and sort of almost tell himself that he had the things he wanted before he actually had them, okay. And he actually went on to deliver a speech at some, I'm not sure if it was to, so there are so many clips of Jim Carrey and the law of attraction on the internet, but basically there was one moment where he said, it's not like you can just visualize yourself being famous and then eat a sandwich. It's like you actually have to do some work. And I think that's what you were saying, Alice. It's like you can't just say, I'm going to become a doctor and then go out and play volleyball all day long and then not not do any work. There's a balance. You need to there's a percentage of it is hard work, and a percentage of it is gratitude, and a percentage of it is like positivity. But yeah, you've got to be very in English I would say self-disciplined. You've got to be very disciplined with yourself. Self-disciplined. Okay, you have got to be self-disciplined, but the concept that I'm talking about here is self-discipline. It's the idea that you've got to be positive, you've got to work hard, you've got to express gratitude for what you have. Okay, good. Okay, guys, I think we'll need to move on to the next slide. Okay, well done for your work so far. Excellent. Right. We need to match the phrasal verbs to the correct meaning. Okay, so to think of, to think out, to think over, to think through, and to think up. Match these phrasal verbs to the definitions on the right. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do that, guys. Go ahead. Well done, Vincenzo. Excellent. Yes, it's you need to have that mixture of realism and positivity. It's almost like a marriage. You've got to say, okay, this is what I'd like to have, but this is also what I have, and like say, okay, it's baby steps, little steps towards what it is I want to have. But you can't just ignore what you're living entirely. And you just sort of say, acknowledge what you have in reality. I think acknowledge that reality is reality, what you're witnessing, what you're feeling right now, but it doesn't mean that you have to place too much emotional emphasis on something, right? So for example, let's say you want a new job, so but because you don't like your current job, so you're in your current job thinking, oh my goodness, I absolutely hate my job, I don't want to be here, I want to go home. Okay, instead of thinking, okay, well, this job is not the best job, I would love to have more money, but at least I have a job, and At least the job that I have enables me to live. It gives me money. It gives me stability. It gives me security. It gives me routine. Okay. So it's when you start to actually, when you acknowledge that you're feeling a certain way, but then just say, okay, well, even though it's not the best situation, what positives can I pull from this situation? And that's the process of gratitude. Okay. And then from that point, you think, okay, I can, at least I have something. And then when you visualize having the perfect job, your brain does this thing where it's like you're visualizing yourself in a better place, but you're not negatively talking about or thinking about what you have already. It's really powerful, that really powerful. Okay, guys, tell me, these phrasal verbs, what means what? Oh, guys, I wish I could speak to you live in person. Okay, Bruno, let's have a look. Oh, okay, too difficult. Yeah, it's not easy, this at all. So to think of, I've shown you the first three answers. So to think of means to consider the possibility of doing something. So in Italian, it's like pensare a qualcosa or a qualcuno. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. To think of something. So it's like when you've got the little bubble, the cloud above your head. Okay, to think out. To think out is actually like is when you plan or prepare something before you start doing it. So, for example, if you want to build a house, you cannot just start getting the materials and building the house just without any plans at all. You have to think out, make a plan, and then commence in a logical fashion. Also, in a structurally safe fashion. There's a way to build a house and there's a way not to build a house, right? To think over. To think over means to consider something carefully before deciding. So this is similar to think out. It is similar, okay? I can understand why you guys find this difficult. Okay, to think over is like, let's say you have two job offers. So one company wants to pay you 50,000 euros a year. Another company wants to pay you 55,000 euros a year, but you have to move to another country. Okay. If you have to make a decision between two things, maybe two or three things, it's like almost like a cycle in your mind. You're thinking over. Okay. To think through, again, to consider something carefully with all the consequences. Consequences is key here. To think through consequences, the consequences of whatever decision you make. And to think up is to create something using your imagination, okay? Yeah, good, Alice. So the only thing I would change is I'm thinking of thinking over. So we would say it like this: I'm thinking of doing a first aid course. Okay, thinking of doing. I'm thinking of doing. So notice the gerund after the thinking. I'm thinking of doing a first aid course. I'm thinking of flying to Madrid. Thinking of starting a business. Okay, I'm thinking over. Right, you're almost there, Lychee. So I would say I'm thinking over I'm thinking over the idea of moving to Rome or staying. I'm thinking over the idea of moving to Rome or staying in Venice would work. I'm thinking over the idea, the notion, I'm thinking over the possibility of moving to Rome. Okay, or simply staying in Venice, for example, right? Any questions, guys? Please ask me. We've only got a couple of minutes left, so if you've got some questions right now, ask your questions in the comments section, and I will answer them before we finish, okay? Any questions? Oh, excuse me. What's the weather like where you are, guys? Is it okay? It was warm in Rome yesterday. We had like 20, it was like 21, 22 degrees in the middle of the day. But I'm in the cold part of the house, so it's always cold. Almost Alice. So I'm thinking through accepting a job offer. A job offer. We would say a job offer. I'm thinking through a job offer. Yeah, it's like that here as well. Do you know, sometimes it depends where you stand. If you stand in the sun, it's beautiful. But if you're on your balcony or, you know, in the house, it feels cold. And it's weird because I think people need to make sure that I'm freezing too. I'm freezing too, so I have to keep going out into the balcony. Every time I go outside, it's like I've got like a jacket and everything on, you know, gloves. Well, not my plastic gloves, and we say latex gloves. And I get really, really hot, but it's because I'm cold in the house. But you have to stay warm in the house because otherwise you'll get sick. And it's like. I'm feeling, yeah. Okay, right, guys. Thank you very much for your hard work today. Really, really pleased. I hope you enjoyed this lesson online. We've got lots and lots of these focus activities online on our YouTube channel. So we've got the level 10 to 13, which was this one. We've also got 8 to 10, and we've got focus activities for other levels too. So please tell your family and your friends to type MyS, and like the level, you know, beginner is maybe like 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 6 to 7 is mid-range, like middle, 8 to 10, 10 to 13 are people who have a better grasp of the language, okay? So anyone can log in, anyone can watch these videos, okay? So if your kids are bored, if your nieces and nephews are bored, get them watching this. They can talk, they can comment in our comment section. It doesn't matter. We want as many people to enjoy these videos as possible, okay? I hope you all have a lovely day, and I hope to see some of you in some of my other videos in future, okay? Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Bye 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 bye.